In the eyes of the world, the heart of the champion speaks volumes.
Boxing is an individual sport, and if anything materializes, it's up to you to make it happen. And boxing, for me, was a way of making a statement, a profound statement, and no one could change that. But I think it's a beautiful sport. Boxing's made me, boxing's educated me. Quite naturally, because of the way society is, we all can't excel academically. Sometimes we are not qualified to have a job on Capitol Hill. We all can't do that. I think for minorities, black, white, Jews, whatever, for minorities, it gives them a chance, and you can't take that chance away from them.
Before retiring from the ring at age 26, world welterweight boxing champion Sugar Ray Leonard had forged one of the most exciting ring careers in boxing history. Along the way, he earned more than $40 million, a sum the Ray Leonard of his youth could never have even dreamed of.
I think as a youngster, I always felt inferior to society. I'm talking young. I recall living in Washington, D.C., Northwest. My father at the time was working at a supermarket. My mother, she was doing little jobs, odds and ends. And we would walk to the monument, which was like 15 miles maybe. And I was shy and timid also, and I saw myself not afraid, because at the time I was hungry. I would go in trash cans and get a hamburger, because they'd be half a hamburgers, because people, the tourists, you know, they would visit the museums and what have you, so they would never finish a hamburger, and I knew that. And I would get it and eat it, and I felt proud. Hey, my stomach was full. But that bothered me for a long time, because I knew that we didn't have anything, although my mother and father made sure we had something to eat. At school, the same thing. I would not go to school because we had field trips and I couldn't afford it. So there's a lot of things as a youngster that became motivation to me once I, became older. And I don't know, as time went on, and I saw things like over the rainbow. I saw that pot of gold, but not money. I just saw something big happening. And then I realized how significant the Olympics could be, to be on the team. And that was 1972, and I was too young, but I lied about my age, and I tried to qualify. And I guess since then, and I knew that to keep this up, something could happen.
Leonard wins the welterweight Olympic gold medal in the 1976 Games at Montreal. Returning home, he enrolls in the University of Maryland, but financial pressures force him to reconsider his options.
Now I also have to face reality. Jobs were not that great. I mean, I was in limbo. I didn't know which way to turn. And Jenks Morton, who became my trainer, he suggested me, he said, Ray, you know something? You made a name in boxing. I think that is a vehicle for you. I think you should utilize it to the utmost. He said, because the longer you wait, the more people will forget about the Olympics and your name. From a marketable standpoint, you lose out. And he was absolutely right. So I made the first move to turn professional in 1977.
2 years later, he takes the world welterweight title from Wilfredo Benitez. After 29 undefeated ring bouts, he meets Roberto Duran in June of 1980.
That was the first time that I ever experienced or was involved in animosity. A guy with a peculiar personality, a guy that was considered somewhat bizarre in his attitude. I've never experienced anyone making statements at me that were really derogatory, really low about the family and what have you. Certain gestures that I took as an insult, and they were. I couldn't come back because, again, because I respect myself and I respect the kids. That fight led to my the style. I just decided to fight. It's toe-to-toe. It became a physical fight. Durant hurt me, and after the fight, I tried to say, well, good fight, and he waved me off. And that was the second time I considered retirement because I gave it all I had.
In their return title match, Sugar Ray recaptures the crown after the now famous cry of "No mas" comes from Duran.
Duran felt that I would fight the same way. And when I boxed him, I mean, it was a different fight night and day. He just gave up. He threw his hands up through frustration and humiliation, and he said cramps. Then they say the press, the critics were saying, well, you know, Ray, it takes away the win. I said, no, it doesn't. I said, I made a man like Duran quit. That's a great accomplishment. They said, well, how do you assess? What do you think happened? I said, well, it's like a suicidal victim. He jumps off a bridge, halfway down, he changed his mind. It's too late. Duran threw his hands up, you know, totally frustrated, and didn't realize the impact we have on the world. And now he needs a legitimate excuse. He said he can't have a headache. Can't say that. So he says cramps. It wasn't cramps. It was me.
Caesar's Palace, Las Vegas, September 16th, 1981. The WBA and WBC champions meet in a world welterweight showdown. Sugar Ray Leonard will earn $15 million in this fight, one of the richest in history.
Tommy Hearns, I've always respected his talent and respect him as a gentleman. That fight there was the fight that made me accept it overall in everyone's eyes. I mean, as far as saying, well, he's not a legitimate fighter. He's the guy in front of the camera. No, that fight made me accept it. Yeah, so this guy's tough because he has a very impressive record. He's knocked out a lot of guys. Tommy Hearns, you know, I say he's a freak of nature, and I don't mean that in a negative way. He's an exception. This man is 6'1". He's a big 6'1", because when we weighed in, I weighed 46, he was 145. And I looked so much bigger. I had more definition. I was strong. He looked emaciated. I mean, he looked drawn, like dehydrated. And then in the ring that night, it was though he was inflated. I said, that's not the same guy. I looked over at him, and he looked so much bigger and huge. And when we stood there in the center for the instructions, I was bouncing up and down because I didn't want him to see how tall I was. Every time that he would come back strong, I knew that things were not going in my favor. As the rounds were going, third, fourth, fifth round, he was coming on. He was chasing me. And I would retaliate a couple times, but I still wasn't comfortable enough or satisfied enough with his punching power to go inside. Then I sat down for, I got the seventh round. Fifth round, I realized that my eye was starting to swell. And I said I need to go to work. I got up and I went for him, hit him in the body, and he just folded over. I knew I was in control then, so I came on strong. And by the 9th, 10th round, I mean, I was really tired. I knew he was tired. Fatigue had set in with both of us. And I knew then that the last few rounds would be big rounds for me. I went for him. There's an ingredient, I say, that the champions possess. I don't know the definition. I don't know what it is. But it's something that comes up. It comes out of you that pushes you a step further.